Hey folks, welcome to Einhander. We got 5 players. They got 30 minutes to get as far as they can. Pretty rough game, but I think we'll see progress in 30 minutes. They won't run out
have
of
some
too many
fun.
lives. Yeah. There are a couple game modes. I don't care which one they pick. There's like, it determines what kind of sub-weapons you get and how they work. Something like that. I'm not actually sure exactly. Like, I think mode C is like you only ever can carry one weapon at a time.
Do we want to
Simplifies
give them any instructions on which one to play?
their choice.
Okay.
I don't really know the differences myself. Effectively, not a huge deal. It is how offensive you are, and it doesn't affect your survivability. Other than that, you're killing things differently. Pull audio from Okami. I'm ready to go.
All right. They have been given the go sign.
Alright, 30 minutes on the clock.
So this is a side-scrolling shmup?
No, it's a... rotates the camera in terrible ways. Shmup.
So strictly worse.
It's like 2.5D. Yeah, when it gets rotating craziness going on, it really gets crazy. You would
Did you
prefer
pick a stinker, or is this like a beloved game even though it's got some flaws?
It's belovedly mean.
Okay.
This is a Squaresoft game. This is like Final Fantasy VII and this game. They're like their two big PlayStation things.
Should I be instructing them to keep track of their best score and that's how we'll break ties?
I think we can measure progress.
All right.
There will be big, obvious bosses.
Yeah, if you know the game well enough that you can measure progress, then that's perfectly fine.
I'll try to keep up with that. The final boss was something else, and there's a an ultimate final boss where you have like a timer, and if you don't clear it before the timer runs out, no matter how many lives you have, you get a bad ending and the game restarts. Just like punch in the face from this game. I'd say the biggest problem with it is not... like, it really shouldn't be as hard as it is. It's just really hard to see the attacks and you die in one shot. So
Right.
it's kind of just hard to work out what's even getting you. And if that wasn't the case, this would be an incredibly good game. It's got a lot of style, though. Yeah, the gun that you get, it does absorb hits. Unlike you, it can take a couple shots for some reason. And they give you plenty. You should pretty much always have one. And they are wildly different guns. You got spread machine gun, there's a homing missile launcher. You can flip it above and below you to change the way each one shoots. And it will block in either direction when you do that. I think Spritz is in the lead, having killed the big blue guy.
Nice. Everyone else is still fighting the Pixar lamp. Are the name tags still correct?
I think so. Oh, my bad. I didn't know I had a hotkey for that.
I thought Virtua Cat was the one who
Oh, there
didn't
they
end up
go.
going
Sorry,
well.
yeah, that is Digi up top left.
Okay. You know, sometimes races just end abruptly. You can never predict it.
Cloud is not in this. This has all the budget that Squaresoft had to throw money in development of cool ideas, PlayStation era.
I mean, it looks really cool, but I'm not sure that I feel like it... Like, it doesn't look like it plays as cool as it looks.
It does. I would mod a couple of changes. Like, the cinematics and all are really cool, but to play it, like, the camera that's upside down, the final boss comes out of nowhere with a beam that hits 90% of the screen, and it's so hard to see what's going on. It flips around so much. They wanted to give you the frantic, like, FTL war in space vibe, and they did it by going crazy with the camera.
Sure.
This crane boss really messes you up too. They just leap at you and stuff. You just need to know.
Yeah, Digi got here way before everyone else.
Anyway, you can see the camera is not side-scrolling anymore. But it is. So I would call it 2.5D. The players are doing great. So much stuff here that will just drop you instantly. Really just no mistakes allowed on each boss for like 1 minute each time, and there's a lot of bosses. Everybody's here.
The gang is all here.
Good soundtrack, great visuals. Digi is the
Looks like-
first.
Yeah, Digi cleared it first.
It's amazing that they're all surviving. Like that nobody has run into a single thing here. Obviously it gets meaner, but even just stage 1, just surviving all this stuff, just flawless. It's really what's required.
I would not want to meet a speed bump racer in a dark alley. Like, I don't know that I could hold my own against them.
A couple people died on the way in, but the boss is doing nothing and doing nothing fast. Everyone has killed him at this point. They're all good.
Dang.
Pretty much on the same track, more or less.
Received telegram from Conduct Satellite Hyperion. Order the following operation. The armored trains were discovered leaving the city on their way to the east. Pursue them and locate the enemy supply route.
The
Fighting a train in the slowest way possible, taking out one car at a time.
Yeah, I gotta kill everyone on the train, not just the train.
You can't just go up to the engine and destroy it. Like, you've got to one by one take out each individual car. By God, there had better not be any survivors.
Thinking about the plug-and-play nature of these weapons, they must be USB 3 or something. You can just pick up a missile launcher off some guy you blasted and just plug it in and start shooting it. That's some plug-and-play support. That's a big deal back in, this is like 97. We didn't have that. people take it for granted. Windows XP was like the first attempt at actually being able to just... Y'all, keyboard? We know what that is. Until then, it wasn't a thing. It's very inconsistent too. It was really hard to get that to work sometimes.
Gotta flip it over and then flip it over again.
Speaking of old tech, that's something I noticed for the longest time. I don't know when it finally stopped. I feel like it only stopped in the last like 5 years. The PS/2 port that keyboard and mice used to use continued to exist for so long. Beyond I've ever seen those keyboards anymore. Every motherboard I had.
Yeah, I don't think my motherboard right now has one, but maybe it does. I feel like...
The one I had before this one did. And I bought that one in 2017. Stuck around for game reasons, is that true? I don't know about that. I know that for a long time you couldn't use a USB keyboard in the BIOS, or at least that was a hard thing to get to work, and that was why I kept one around. But that stopped being true a little while ago. Man, the day you could start using the mouse in the BIOS, for me, that was like, wow.
That changed everything.
The train is a rough stage, and it's really hard for me to tell who's doing the best. I don't know if we should really care about ranking since the bot's down anyway, unless it's obvious, but we'll know if somebody beats the level, but each specific boss is going to be a little harder to track. This thing that Digi is fighting and Spritz is a boss that really messed me up for a long time, and it is not the boss of the stage. It's one of the 3 mini bosses in your way, and you're going to fight a bunch of them.
Dang.
Oof. Those bullets come out so fast. I think that the players who have just one type of gun maybe get more ammo for it. That's what I beat this with. And I beat it with infinite lives. That helped a lot.
Why didn't they just consider having infinite lives?
That's a good question. I don't know that rentals were much of a thing in the PlayStation era. I think they still were, obviously, around, but I don't remember really renting these kind of games very much.
Yeah, I think 2 of the feeds are duplicated.
Oh, let me see. Oh, that's just between twice. Yeah, let me get Merlin Cross up there. See where they're at. My bad. They're still fighting the same boss, so.
No different.
Made a little confusion without the bot to help me out. Our bot's down in the chat, so it messed me up. There are 9 continues, so I was wrong to care about that, I guess. But it's fine. Jaspertine's debating whether they'll continue or not, it looks like. Yeah, I know rentals were still around, but game rentals, I feel like I stopped participating in that in this era. Didn't seem like the same kind of thing with the memory cards and all. I just didn't care anymore. I'm sure this was a game you could beat in a weekend if you really wanted to.
Yeah, as games got more substantial, that was a lot harder.
I kept renting movies, but I think I stopped renting games after the SNES myself. There are a bunch of weird rental services for games. Like the one that would mail you some, like Netflix style, just mail you a game. And the Gamefly maybe was what it was called. And you'd send it back once you were done with it. A confusing, weird service.
Yeah, I remember when Redbox was doing some disc game rentals.
Minutes left. I'm expecting some of the players to defeat the train stage, given that they have 8 continues, 2 lives each. That's more than they're going to be able to use up in the amount of time left. The continues, I don't know where they put you. Hopefully in a similar place to where the lives put you, which is like right. There's a lot of checkpoints in this game. Pretty much every section and every boss has their own. So once you reach a boss, you're stuck on them. And they're usually generous enough to give you a weapon pretty much every single time before you get to a boss fight as part of the checkpoint. Like you get like a cannon or something at least.
Right.
Help you block some bullets and do some real damage. I'm not sure what the strongest weapon is DPS wise. I think it's the grenades. That's what I was using to really drop bosses fast. And you can see there's a lot of locational damage on these guys. You could destroy their weapons and slow down their ability to hurt you, or you could just blow them up completely by going for their head.
How long is this game?
They got a long way to go.
Sure. Like, we probably don't expect them to get anywhere near.
A couple hours though, probably an hour of just not losing would probably get you there.
Okay.
The stinky boss with the arms. I don't even know which one the players are on. The way it shoots is so ridiculous. It just shoots bullets like almost randomly, and then it flops at you like a fish. You gotta be ready for all of these silly attacks. Man. Clearing up the stage is much easier. It looks like Spritz is on a new one. Maybe the boss of the train.
Spritz, yeah, this definitely looks like something much bigger than what everyone else has been dealing with, so.
I don't particularly remember this guy, so I probably didn't struggle with it as much. The fish boss flops at you. That definitely gave me trouble. It says weird attacks that get you. I like the song, and I like to hear it start over again. Here comes the fish. Merlin has made it to the boss as well.
Yeah, Merlin and Spritz are both working on it still.
Merlin's doing great. Still has like 70 guys left. He's effectively...
For whatever it matters, Merlin's also got a really great score, too.
Yeah. These graphics were like cutting edge, and they still look pretty good for
Team now on the boss.
PlayStation era graphics. Usually go too hard on the 3D that's brand new, and they really want those shapes, and they look like... I don't know if I ever thought they looked great, but I hate them more now than ever. This game doesn't really have that problem. They did a good job with all the little parts.
Yeah, that's the benefit of your game being all robots and spaceships, is those sharp angles hold up.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. Armored Core also kind of holds up. That might be why. I think games with lots of little bits get around the problem of polygons, because you just have enough to give you the detail that you probably wouldn't normally have with new 3D stuff. Yeah, we talked about it before, but sprite games at this time period disappeared for a long time. To my chagrin, like Symphony of the Night and Blood Omen were special to me because they still kept that style. They're beautiful games.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them, especially in the early PlayStation. What's that? Little Ralph is one that comes to mind.
Yeah, something that of course still looks great. It looks better than all the games that said they looked better because it's this freaking hand-drawn assets and beautiful artwork that will always be good forever. It's beautiful, and it didn't have the fancy 3D stuff. That's probably a bad example though, because everyone would say that that game looks nice. But I think Mega Man X1 looks better than X4. But even those are just 3D assets thrown in with 2D sprite work still. I think a lot of the games...
Two players who just got into the next stage too. That's pretty impressive.
Yep, it's time to go down the tunnel. I think early 3D, when I'm talking about like Wild Arms 1, which I think is a great example because the overworld is lovely looking like Legend of Zelda pixel art, and then when you get into the battle, it's a completely different game where you have these like weird 3D sprites and everything looks atrocious. It's just a big shift from what you saw in the overworld to what you see in the battles, to the point where at this point, if I play that game again, I'll turn the battles off and not even play that part. I'll just instantly win the boss fights and just run around a little overworld. They weren't all bad though. There were definitely some good ones. Metal Gear Solid is a late entry of obviously good looking holds up game, and Mega Man Legends, that one's fine. Mega Man Legends did some really interesting things though with their art and the way they did the faces and stuff. Textured animations. Worth looking into if you haven't seen how it was done. FF7 is a very blocky looking, like Lego ass looking game. I remember talking about that when I was a kid and we just rolled with it, but it's really silly looking now. The cutscenes look okay, but like everyone in that game has these like Lego arms. Specifically in that game, it's the opposite problem. The overworld looks kind of bad, and the battles look great. Look at this boss Merlin Cross is doing. Look how much flailing it's doing. Stop it. It's so stressful to deal with. Couple people joined stage 3 here, and it looks like Okami might be in there as well soon. They're doing okay here.
Yep.
A lot of stuff going on. Get in a second though with how these boss fights work.
Yeah, it looks like we got Spritz and Merlin Cross on the same boss. They've been pretty much tied up this whole time.
I'm reasonably decent at shmups, but this always felt like I was really pushing it to the limit to win these fights sometimes. There's so much going on and you're not allowed to make a single mistake. Kami is blowing stuff up. That was very stressful. It's just anxiety. It's all done. I think everyone's on World 3 now of Einhander. What do you think?
It's interesting. I'm not typically drawn to shmups, but this one at least feels like it's trying to do something cool.
Is monitored ahead. Based on high energy reaction, it is assumed to be an enemy.
Yeah, I don't really care about the FF7 remake. It's not really a remaster. It's completely. It feels like a completely different game, like a different universe almost. Like it doesn't seem like it's even the same plot, which is not what I wanted. But there are plenty of mods for the PC version, though, if you really want FF7 to look nice. A lot of dedicated FF7 lovers out there making it so you can see the entire map in one view on the overworld from your airplane. All kinds of stuff. I bought the FF7, the first part of the 3 parts. Can't believe it's in 3 parts either, but I bought the first part for like $60 and I haven't even gotten anywhere in it yet. Could have bought Mario
Last time I
Party
make that
2.
mistake, right?
Yeah. I try not to, but it happens now and then. It's just the game comes out that I feel like, especially since I do it as a job, I feel like people would want to watch me play this. I better buy it. I wanted to play it anyway. And then I try it. Nobody wants to watch it, and I don't really like it. And that happened with FF7, I think. I'm like mildly interested in it, but it's definitely not the game that I would want to play normally. Like I really like the turn-based RPGs, and I may be one of the few people who does like the ATB system that that a couple of games use correctly. I think FF7 is one of the ones that does use it right. Chrono Trigger to a better extent. But I do feel like FF7 is one of the ones where I think it's a good idea. It's not always a good idea. I don't like the modern RPG where you're like, it's not turn-based at all. It's just an action game. It's just running around Devil May Cry style while casting spells, kind of things going on. This descent is challenging. It's hard to know, especially here, what will kill you in this game and what won't. I think that's an issue that this game has. It really looks great though, especially in the zone with the backgrounds.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of games out there that wanted to look cool, but they suffer playability because you have a hard time discerning the difference between things that can and can't hurt you.
I definitely feel the staggering thing as a mechanic, something I don't like. Armored Core 6 does it, and that blew my mind that that game would have it's a game with missiles and bombs, and I still have to stun the enemy to do damage. I bounced off of that one, and I was having a great time until that became a main mechanic. It is so far away from the way I want to play that kind of game. One minute left. 20 seconds, really. A couple people on the same boss here. So we have even if we were tracking the score, it ended up being very similar. I think Okami's the only one who's not quite there, but they're still in the same vicinity.
Yeah. Looks at a glance like Spritz has the best score of everyone, aside from not being able to see Digi's HUD.
Yeah, I don't know why. Is that something they can maybe turn off or something?
I don't know.
Time is up. Our players are finished. And I think just about everyone is here on this boss who has a name, I'm sure. I'd never be able to find it. Let me see. Einhander bosses. Stage 3. Oh, they're just like German names and stuff, like Schwarzkopf, and well, the Gecko might be this thing. I think that is what this thing's called, the Gecko SPKBA08 Gecko. Maybe is this boss. I'm not sure. That is the one that held everybody up. But that's good work. They were making it. I'd say there's like probably 10 stages in this game. There's stage 3 here.
Nice.
Something like that. And some of the stages are not quite so long. Like the last one is just the final boss fight. Hard as hell, but just the final boss.
Well, good pick. This was a fun game.
I'll look into what the bot's doing, but hey, thanks for joining me, Other Blues.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one.